Hey, all, my name's Bryant Young.
And Derek Chaney.
Here with the Decent Dads podcast, back at it again. Brand new episode this week.
That's right. And another great guest, Drew Dilisio.
Yeah, Drew was a lot of fun. Navy man, therapist.
Works for an awesome organization here in
Yeah.
Springfield, Good Dads. And
He's literally a good dad.
Yeah.
So we were excited to have him on the show.
the good dad meets the decent dad.
Exactly.
You know?
It's the pros and the amateurs. We got it. We understand how it works.
That's right.
We were excited to have him. His stories were fun, insightful, and you can tell the guy just knows his stuff and loves his kids.
Yeah. We had some good takeaways on this episode. Yeah.
We learned a lot. Hopefully you will too. So I think we just jump right into this.
Let's do it.
Decent Dads podcast. Here we go. Good evening, folks, and welcome back to the Decent Dads podcast. We're here to tell dad jokes, drink coffee, and build a community of dads navigating fatherhood together. I'm Bryant Young, fearless leader, co-host, girl dad, and your friendly local insurance agent based out of Springfield, Missouri. And now, before we get started on today's episode, please help me welcome. He's a 6'3" sophomore shooting guard from small town Missouri. He wishes he was a first-team All-American, but instead, he's the coolest co-host with the most, a fantastic father of two, and the home loan expert. Folks, put your hands together and welcome the incomparable Mr. Derek Chaney.
Yeah.
How are you, DC?
That was a good one, man.
A little excited today, pal.
Yeah, I can tell. I love it.
Unfortunately, I've seen you every single day this week,
I
so
know.
I'm just trying to talk about it here on
I don't know about you, but I'm getting tired of you. But,
That's true friendship, right?
Whatever, man.
yeah. No, I mean, outside of being around you every day this week, it's a good day for a good day.
It's a good day.
But I'm super excited about this episode because we don't have a decent dad with us today.
That's right. We don't have a decent dad.
We have a good dad.
That's
with
right.
us.
Good dads are in the house.
That's right. So
Yes, we
I'm pumped. We got Drew with Good Dads. You got you have a pretty fun background. We met you for the first time a couple weeks ago for coffee, and you're in the military. You're a mental health counselor, and we've talked about some of those topics on here before. So I'm excited to hear that side of things too. And then you're with Good Dads. So before we had coffee, me and Bryant didn't know you.
Sure.
And still don't know you super well, I guess. And
Let's change that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Let's get into it.
And some of our listeners probably don't know you too well either. So if you will, tell us who you are, Drew. Tell us what you do for work. Give us your dad resume. How many kids you got? What are their ages? Which one's your favorite?
Definitely. Well, favorites, it's by far the oldest one, right?
You actually answered it.
Harper, I'm just kidding.
First time to answer that. Even if it
I
wasn't,
love when we get an answer to that question.
even
Makes
if
me
it was
so
a
happy.
joke. Even if it was a joke. That's awesome.
I'm Drew Dilisio. I am the mental health counselor at Good Dads. Good Dads is a nonprofit in downtown Springfield, and we just focus on bringing resources for dads. Our founder, Dr. Baker, she has been a psychologist for years and years, and as she was looking around at programs, there's lots of programs for moms, there's lots of programs for children, which are great.
Right.
And we think that's wonderful, but she was also saying, well, what about the dads?
Sure.
What happens if the dads get involved? Yes, these are huge issues, and you're right, but are we just forgetting about the other part of this team?
Yeah.
And anytime she asked that question, it was kind of like, well, yeah, of course. And no one ever gave an answer.
Sure.
So she decided, okay, I'm going to have to do something about this. So Good Dads started. We have several different programs, specifically in the Good Dads. We have the New Pathways program, which has a healthy fatherhood class, a healthy relationships class.
Yeah.
We work with a lot of community resources like Victory Mission, Straight Street, organizations like that. Then we have Fundamentals of Fatherhood, which is we say it's a class for any and all dads.
How to dad.
Yeah,
huh?
it's just and the main thing is kind of like what you're doing here, just getting dads together and talking.
Yeah.
We really find that that's the biggest resource is,
Yeah.
well, my 2-year-old won't stop pooping on the wall, and someone goes oh, that's actually normal. That happened to me too, and then they don't feel
Right?
so
isolated.
isolated.
Sure.
Yeah. It's a relief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we recently had a guy, Aaron Owens, on who said that he wants to develop a video series of like the 10 things your kid should know or your son should know how to do at this age.
Yes,
and the
right.
10 things your daughter should know how to do at this age.
Yeah.
And he wanted to talk about doing that, like either a video series or write a book or
Right.
something like that.
Yeah.
Come to find out you guys are doing that.
We try
Kind
to
of.
do
I mean, I
stuff
think
like
that's
that.
awesome. Yeah.
We definitely, I think what's so great about some of the classes we have and some of the events we have is we have the dad who has a 1-year-old and has no idea. And then we have the dad who is actually a grandpa. And so
wow.
he brought his kids and then they brought their kids. And so you
that's
get
cool.
this kind of generational knowledge
awesome.
that is so important, especially when you know that some guys didn't have a good dad.
Yeah.
Our thought is just because you didn't have a good dad doesn't mean you can't be a good dad. And that's
Absolutely.
that's
Preach.
the opposite of what a lot of people assume, right? I won't even say that they do it on purpose, but a lot of things we're fighting, organizations we're fighting, they just assume you're the deadbeat dad. That's something we push against a lot is
Sure.
most guys want to be a good dad. They just don't know how.
Yeah.
So we're here to help them try to be better dads.
Perfect.
Right?
That's awesome.
Now, how old are your kids?
I have 2 girls, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Girl dad. All right.
I'm
All
a
right.
girl dad.
I need all the coaching you got,
Yeah.
Paul. I need
All
it
the
all.
tips.
Um,
And then real quick, is Good Dads, is that just a Springfield thing? Or?
oh, yeah.
So no, we're actually expanding.
Okay,
we're
cool.
we're growing. We're really excited about that. We're in Kansas City.
Awesome.
We're trying to go up. We're not quite in the Boot Hill yet, but we're in Joplin, Branson.
Nice.
kind of-
Awesome.
Yep.
That's cool. So you just have chapters that are doing those meetings, or is that what you guys are doing?
So we have organizations that are coming together and saying like we want good dads, and so we either want to be like a network partner, like we want
Sure.
to do almost exactly what you're doing, kind of like an umbrella thing, or hey, we just want to have the New Pathways program because the New Pathways is kind of attached to a state contract. So there's child support guidance and stuff. So some programs will specifically want to add like the New Pathways program. So
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
Nice.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, again, the idea of, you guys know what you're doing and you're good at it, pardon the pun. And
I would be
and
upset if you didn't say
why
that.
why not, share this with everybody?
Yeah.
I mean, every dad goes into, I don't know about every dad. Most dads go into dadding going, holy crap, I don't know what I'm doing. I wonder if everybody's having these same experiences that I am. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're a new dad and not going through that,
You're overconfident and you're doing it wrong.
right? Yeah. Teach me your ways. I want to know.
Yeah, you're doing it wrong. So speaking of doing it wrong, we do something every single week. We talk about tantrums.
Yes.
Because it's our kids' fault. It's not ours.
Right.
Definitely not.
Could
It's
be.
yeah. It's
I'm perfect. So
Yeah,
it's not my fault.
so it doesn't have to necessarily be something recent. But do you have any tantrums that you've dealt with?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this, and I mean, I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. So, what is life but not just a series of
Right,
tantrums?
right.
So I was trying
So
to think
true.
about the best. Every day is a struggle of like, this is why you can't have cotton candy for breakfast. And most of the time, she still gets cotton candy for breakfast.
That's funny. We were going to talk about breakfast in my tantrum. That's perfect.
So my wife has 2 younger half sisters. So we're in our 30s, and her sisters are 18 and 16 now.
Oh, wow.
So when we were like dating and engaged, so we were in our early 20s, they were very young. So we kind of like helped raise them.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And so we are all from Los Angeles. So before we moved here, we were in Los Angeles, and they were like, hey, can you take them out for the day? And we're like, all right, Uncle Drew, because I wasn't in the family yet, right? So it was like, Uncle Drew's we're gonna have a good day. So
Yeah.
my wife, Catherine, and I, we took them to the LA Zoo. We took them, there's like a carousel there in Griffith Park. It's like this huge, like New York, think of New York Central Park.
Sure.
In Los Angeles, Griffith Park is kind of like that. There's like
Okay.
a zoo, there's horses.
That's
And so
awesome.
we're just doing all this stuff. We went to the store at some point, and I got them toys. They're not my kids,
Right.
And I'm
Spoil
I'm
them and
still
send them
trying,
home, dude.
I'm
Spoil
still
them,
trying to
send
win
them home.
points.
That's right.
I'm the boyfriend, and at this point too, she was deciding to stay in Los Angeles while her family moved here in Springfield. So I was really trying to earn points, right? Like they hated me. They hated me.
Let her come home. Let her come home.
Yeah. She's moving with us. No, she's not. Yeah. So that's not actually how it went, but So I'm just going all out, and they're exhausted. I think the youngest, Darcy, I think she was 4 or 5 at this point. So it's like 4 o'clock, and I can tell she's exhausted. She's done. Holland, the oldest one, she's definitely more like, all right, I'm ready to go. Well, we're at the park at this point. And I'm like, all right, girls, it's time to go back to the car. And Holland's like, okay. And Darcy's like, no.
Not doing it.
It's like, well, Dar, come on, let's go. It's time to go. And she loses it. She starts screaming. Now, we're in a park in the middle of Los Angeles.
Right.
I am a young man. And at this point, my wife and Holland are walking away to the car.
Oh, no.
And I'm dealing with Darcy. And they don't really know what's going on, because I think my wife's like, you got her, I got her.
Right,
and she wasn't really paying attention. So I now am climbing up this structure trying to get Darcy. And I pick her up, and she starts screaming, I don't want to leave, like at the top of her lungs. Screaming her eyes out, like crying, and I'm like picking her up, and I'm mortified. I'm in my 20s. I don't know what I'm doing.
At you.
Every mom in that place is looking at me. I am stealing this child. And so I think, like, what's the best thing I could do? So I put her on my shoulders because I'm like, I can control her this way. Yeah. So now I have a 4-year-old on my shoulders, pounding, screaming at the top of, stop taking me. And I'm like, oh gosh, stop saying that, Darcy. Like, she's screaming, stop taking me.
These are not the words. Please stop.
And at this point, like, my Catherine is like at the car, and she turns around, and you can see her face is like, what is going on? All that to say, we got to the car. I mean, screaming, crying. I put her in her car seat, and within 5 minutes, she fell asleep.
Right. Sure.
No, the cops weren't called, but I for sure thought, like,
got out of there before they were.
I'm getting arrested.
Anyways.
I'm getting arrested. Luckily, my dad was in the sheriff's department. I was like, I'm gonna have to call him. I'm like, Dad, LAPD's here. They think I abducted this girl. Like,
holy crap, that's hilarious.
So all the points you built up there is.
Yeah, we didn't tell that story until they were older.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, we didn't tell that story. Like, yeah.
It is kind of cool though that you guys got a test run.
Yeah.
At raising not raising, but like, having little kids in the family.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That's awesome. Especially, 4 and 6 years old, and now they're 16 and 18.
Yeah.
You said that's
well. When I met her, she was 1, which is crazy to me because she is 16 now.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's 15 years of her life. That's so
Holy
crazy.
crap.
I can't even imagine what was going through your head during that time, because I know, like, even now, just taking my kids out of a store and they're losing it, I'm like, all these people probably think I'm kidnapping my own kid here.
Yeah.
And it's like,
but I do think there's a confidence or a swagger, if you may, when it's your child. You're like, well, this is my DNA. So like they can think. But when it's not your kid, I don't know. It's that there's that fear, like, this really isn't my kid.
Yeah.
You see that fear? You can see that fear in their eyes, kind of.
And they know. They're like, oh, that's not his kid.
Well, like, plus you being that age, no kids yet.
No.
You had never dealt with a tantrum really.
No, and I
so
looked like a baby. I looked like I had a baby face, and so I looked like a child. Clean shaven. I had long hippie hair. Like, I looked like
a child.
You
were in LA. That makes sense.
Yeah.
LA in the early 2000s. That makes
exactly.
sense.
Yeah. I had my My Chemical Romance shirt on.
Nice.
Like we worked in Hollister. we were wannabe yous. We just weren't. We were in the Midwest.
That's
we were just
true.
Midwest wannabe.
We had no beach. Yeah.
So, you started to talk about things that you can't eat for breakfast. Well, that's my tantrum.
Okay. Really?
My wife recently introduced fruit snacks to the house.
Yeah.
And it hasn't come to a head yet. It's a point of contention a little bit.
Okay.
I feel like that's basically giving our kid a gummy worm, or like gummy bears. And I know that it's slightly better, and so that's better than giving her candy.
Sure.
But we also have fruit.
Yeah.
In our house. So
real fruit.
I don't want real fruit.
I'm not going to argue. At this point, I'm not going to argue about it. I'll die on some other hill and not this one. But Else now knows that there are not veggie straws. That's different. Fruit snacks in the house.
Yeah.
And every waking moment, she's asking for them.
Yeah.
We get in the car after school, after daycare, ask for fruit snacks.
Yeah.
Sorry, babe, don't have any in the car.
Yeah.
I've got some goldfish. Here, how about some goldfish? That's not much better for you, but it's not fruit snacks. She got up the other morning and wanted fruit snacks and had a full I mean, it's 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And had a full blown pounding the floor, kicking
man.
the floor, kicking and screaming, like nightmare breakdown tantrum over fruit snacks. And I'm like, God, am I really gonna have to do this at 6 o'clock?
I'm gonna cave already.
Am I
this
gonna
early
cave
in
already?
the morning?
I pulled out every tactic I know for distraction. And it's, oh look, we better go wake up the dog, and that distracted her for a minute because Tina lives down here in the basement at night. And first it was the dog, and then it was cooking in her little fake kitchen, and then it was let's put all our babies in a pile, and finally got her distracted long enough where she didn't remember. But for a good 5 or 6 minutes there, she was just just full volume.
Yep.
Babe, I love you so much, but we're not doing this right now.
Gosh.
Please, God, don't do this. But yeah, and plus Elsie and I have been fighting lately because she likes her mom better than me too. Anyway, so we've also got
Because
that
Liv
to
gives
talk
her fruit
about.
snacks.
Oh, I was gonna say. So why not give her the fruit snacks?
Liv made the joke. Well, you should just carry them around and keep them in your pocket like dog treats, like people with dog trainers. You just have a fruit. Oh, good job, fruit snack. Oh, good job, fruit snack.
How old is she?
2. She's just right over 2. So I mean, we're right in the throes of full blown tantrum stuff. Go figure. Like you said, it's just a series of screaming toddlers
all day long.
All day long.
And then like a squirrel, huh?
And
Immediately,
then everything's fine.
Right.
Yeah, every distraction you're trying to give, you're trying everything, and then it's something totally random that gets their attention.
Random
You're like,
as
really?
could be.
Completely innocuous.
Random as could be.
Like, why didn't I think of the caterpillar book that was 17 feet away on the other side of the room?
Yeah,
sure, let's do that instead.
Yeah. Mine is it's pretty ridiculous too. So up until this week, we've had some really nice weather around here, right? And so whenever I have the boys in the truck, they like to have the windows down, so I'll roll the windows down. And they're happy as can be. Great. But my rule is like, hey, when we get on the highway, we're driving fast, we gotta roll them up, right? And so we hop on the highway.
That didn't go well.
Roll up the window. And I tell them, like, I give them warnings. I'm like, hey, when we hop on the highway, we're going to roll them up. And, okay, we're about to turn on the highway. We're going to roll them up. And so I'm rolling them up as we're going up, onto the on-ramp. And they start getting a little upset. And then the window fully closes. And they get really upset. They're like, Dad, roll the window down. And Brody's like, window. Roll the window down. I'm like, guys, can't do it. And they're still losing it. And so finally got to a point where I was just like, screw it. I'm going to show you why we can't roll the window down. Roll the window down. It's just like, you just see like Liam's hair going everywhere, Brody's hair going everywhere. And Liam, I mean, it was down maybe a minute. Liam's like, roll the window up. It's windy back here. And I'm like,
It's windy.
Thank you. That's what I tried telling you. But Brody thinks it's funny because he's not getting hit right in the face as much.
Because he's
in the middle of the truck there.
Yeah.
And so then I roll the window up. Liam's happy. Well, then Brody's pissed because the window's up at this point. And I'm just like, guys, come on. But that's been a battle. And then this week, like I mentioned, it's been like, what was it, 102 today?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to drive around with the windows down when it's 102. Well, now they're just pissed off at me the whole time while we're driving around the truck because the windows aren't down at all. And I'm just like, man, you can't win. Can't win for
losing.
Losing.
Because you listen to bad country music, and that's why they're
That's
upset.
probably they're like, give us something else.
Could be something.
No more
to that,
Shania
maybe.
Twain.
What's all Shania?
Nothing. Just no more.
You go, girl.
You're like a woman.
But Drew, the other thing we always ask everybody is, give us your best dad hack.
Dad hack alert!
Or maybe your best dad advice that you have. And so I'll let you think about yours for a little bit and see what Bryant has in store for us.
Yeah. So I was kind of racking my brain today. I was without a dad hack, but I was driving back from the golf thing that we played in today, and I was just kind of brainstorming and thinking about what I've got going on right now. And I alluded to it earlier about Elsie not being a big dad fan right now.
Yeah.
She is all in on mom, which I'm thrilled about. I am so happy that she has a solid, loves her mom so much. But it was basically just to say to dads of toddlers that are experiencing this, nothing your kid is doing right now is personal.
Yeah.
Or like meant to hurt your feelings. Or I've got a beard hair poking up in my nose and it's just like crazy. Sorry. That nothing they do is like intentionally trying to hurt you, or it's not meant to be personal. Yeah. It's just a phase. It's just, Else is firmly in the anti-dad stuff right now, but and obviously as a dad, I want my kid to want to hang out with me 24/7.
Yeah,
I want her to think I'm the coolest person in the world.
Yeah.
Because that's just what I want. But that's not always going to be the case, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And again, she's not doing it on purpose.
No.
And Liv has been very helpful in reminding me of that, because when we got back from vacation, Elsie was pissed at me for 3 or 4 days and straight up would not talk to me. Like, no mommy do it. No mommy help.
Yep.
No mommy, no mommy, no mommy. And like brushing
Just
me
let
off.
me do it,
man.
Just
Let me love you. And I was and Liv could see in my face that I was legitimately like hurt and or a little bit like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, give me a break.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, you got to remember this is a toddler. We're talking about a 2-year-old right now. So she's not. This is not
Her
like an
emotional
intentional thing.
range is right there.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So just understand it's just a phase, and don't take it personally. She's not doing it to hurt you. She's just being a toddler.
Yeah.
It's hard to do sometimes.
God, it's heartbreaking, dude. I just want my
is.
kid to love me so much.
Yeah.
God, all I want is a kid that loves me so much. But one of these days,
Somebody-
hopefully she will.
somebody love me.
love me, dang it. What about you,
So
DC? What do you got?
Me and Drew are here for you.
Yeah, thanks,
got
guys.
I'll love you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you. What about
That's
you,
all I
DC?
need to hear. Yeah, mine is, and we've talked kind of about this a little bit a few times on the podcast. Just gamifying different things. You know, we talked about like gamifying chores before, and gamifying like getting ready to get out the door, different things. And so now, Liam's old enough that he knows like the bedtime routine. He knows like when we're going to start heading towards his room to do the whole bedtime routine. And so, when the movie's approaching the end and he knows when it is, he'll like do whatever he can to like stay up and not go to his bedroom. Like he'll get up and run around, or he'll be like, chase me, or he'll like go try to hide or something, or just do something so he doesn't
Gotta brush my teeth.
Right? Yeah. Oh, that's his big thing. Yeah, he's brushing his teeth right now. Or gotta go potty 20 times, whatever it is. And so he doesn't ever throw a tantrum about it. He just doesn't want to go to his room to go to bed. And so we were thinking, we was like, shoot, like how can we make this work in our favor? And so he's like, well, let's try to gamify bedtime in a way. And so me and him now, when it's approaching that time, and I can tell he's getting a little stir crazy, trying to stay up. I'm like, Liam, let's go hide from mom in your room. And so he thinks that's the coolest thing ever, because he loves like hide and seek right now.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay. So we run into his room. Throw the blanket over us, whether it's in his bed or in the corner or in his closet, wherever it is, and we're hiding from mom. And he's just a little kid; he's not really hiding.
What are you talking about, Daddy? I'm a great hider.
But he's trying. And,
This is hiding, right?
Right, exactly. That's the thing.
Pretty
Like
much.
we throw the cover over him, and the only thing it's covering is just his neck and up. His whole body's hanging out. But he's hiding, right? And so Allie comes stomping in there, and he hears her stomping down the hallway, and she's acting like she can't find him, and he's just giggling and giggling, thinks it's the funniest thing ever. And then he stays in his room after that.
Perfect.
And so we started implementing that, and it works so good now. And
Nice.
now he's like excited to go to bedtime.
Perfect.
Whatever works.
Seriously,
That's what I
find
tell
it.
people. Whatever
That's
works.
the dad hack, right?
Yeah.
Whatever
Whatever
works,
works.
stick to it.
Yep.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
What about you, Drew? What do you got?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this, and I think it comes from my dad, and then also I just remember reading like parenting books. The thing I really try to implement, and I tell other dads, is if you can say yes, say yes. Say yes as often as you can, but when you say no, no is no.
Right. Hold firm.
And I think that has been really important, because at first, I think especially young dads, you're like, why am I saying no to this?
Sure.
Like, why am I actually, like, if you actually ask, like, and not to pick on you, but like we have organic fruit snacks, and in the morning, sometimes my daughter will want, for her, she has to snack before breakfast, of course,
naturally.
and she'll want fruit snacks, and so I'm like, all right, fine, because
Fair point.
the reality is she eats her oatmeal.
Yeah.
Now, if she didn't eat her oatmeal,
Right.
all right,
Different story.
She's living on fruit snacks, but again, that's me personally. I pick the hills I want to die on.
Sure.
So if I can say yes,
I do like that, though.
Yeah.
but then when it's no,
sense.
dad says no, and it's no.
Right.
And I was thinking, and my dad really helped me with that. The other day we were at Ocean's End, and we all went, and Ocean's End is a nice restaurant, and
Right.
we go in, and June just immediately, just for no reason, acts up. Just it like stands up. I mean, she had been great the whole day, and she's acting like a brat all of a sudden. And grandma and grandpa are there, and she's getting a lot of attention. And I said, if you don't stop, we're going to the car. And she just looked at me and was like, basically said,
Ruh-roh.
screw you,
Ruh-roh.
right? Like,
Try me.
and so I immediately grabbed her, I just grabbed her, and I said, okay, we're going to go calm down in the car. We went to the car. 15 minutes, like maybe not even 15, but 10
Right,
minutes. We
sure.
turned the car on, the air on. She was pressing the buttons. I was like, you know why I took you, right?
Right.
Came back in, had a great dinner, and my dad was like, son, I'm so proud that you did that.
Nice.
Because that is
Yeah.
what I taught you. If you
Yeah.
say no, your
Right.
no is no. Like, yeah, I
Sure.
told
Right.
you, you know? And so, because it's that like, well, I told you, you know,
Right.
if you don't stop, which
What good does
again,
that
we're
do?
all,
Sure.
we all do that. So it's not like I'm perfect by any means, but that has really been helpful in my parenting.
Sometimes it's so challenging, though,
Yeah,
too,
oh, yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
depending on the situation or what they're doing,
Yes.
you're like, and you're thinking in your head, you're like, oh, it'd just be so much easier if I just gave in to this. And then
100%.
But yeah, I think holding firm, especially the older they get.
Yes.
I think that.
Of course, now I'm in
Makes
my
a
own
big
head
difference.
about it because you're absolutely
Right?
right, though. Because you got to, you're. I mean, frankly, you're dead on balls accurate. Like, as I sit here and process that, it's like, so the no is you perceive it as candy-like, and therefore you don't want your kid eating candy, and so and so I've meandered my way into
Sure.
some bullshit reasoning for it,
Right,
whether it's
yeah,
real
yeah,
or
yeah.
not. I've
Yeah.
meandered my way into
Yeah.
some. This is why it's a no. But in the grand scheme of things, as long as it doesn't screw up the food
Yeah.
she's eating, or as long as it's not the only thing she's living
And
on.
her attitude, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing. Like, so
Yeah.
and again, this is something my wife is a speech therapist. She like does a lot of like eating and feeding things, and so this is something we do, and we understand not all families do, but dessert and candy is just another part of the meal. Like it is. So lunch and dinner, not breakfast, but lunch and dinner, they just get a little piece of like chocolate, or they get a
I like
cookie,
that.
Nice.
and it's just part of the meal because
Yeah.
we don't want to put that emphasis on
Right.
like
It's super special.
on
or-
super
yeah.
special. However, they do know what it is.
Yeah.
So if there's an attitude, it's like, well, I'm so sorry you don't get your cookie today, you know?
Yeah.
So like you normalize it, but also you do
Solid.
expect
I really
good
like that.
attitudes. Yeah.
but you pull it out for the meal.
Right. That,
I like-
yeah,
I
yeah,
like
yeah.
that
That's
a
the
lot.
part that I
Part
really
of the
like.
meal.
Yeah.
Like it's just part of the meal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
This is why I like having professionals on the show, DC. It's like people that actually know what they're talking about, married to people that also actually know what they're talking about.
Our kids are gonna hate us. our children are gonna. I was like, can you imagine when they're 16, you know, and your dad's, you know, hey, you started your period yesterday. Like, are you feeling emotional? Are you okay? She's gonna be like, shut the hell
Shut
up.
up.
Dad.
I don't want to talk about it, Dad. Yeah.
No, it's okay. I'm the cool therapist, Dad.
I'm
You
the
can
cool
tell me.
therapist.
Yeah, I'm like, they're gonna hate us.
Wouldn't be dads without our wives having kids.
Yes.
And so we've talked about pregnancy quite a bit, and our experiences, our spouse's experiences, our baby mama's experiences. Tell me a little bit about yours. What was your involvement like?
Yeah.
Talk to me about your pregnancy.
So my wife and I didn't have kids right away. I was in the Navy when we first got married, and we
want
made
to talk
it,
more about that too.
Sure, yeah. We made it very clear, like as a couple, to each other, because I wanted kids. I've always wanted kids. I think
Me too.
I think I was 18, and I was like, all right, I got to get married because I'm gonna have kids. Yeah. Good Christian boy, right?
Sure.
I'm like, find my wife at camp, and we're gonna have kids.
Not at camp. But yeah.
And so, so like I always wanted kids, but then I joined the Navy, and so we didn't have. Let's see, when we had kids, I was 27, 28, I think. Yeah, I think I was 28.
Mm-hmm.
No, I wasn't. What am I thinking?
I certainly don't know my friend.
Yeah, I can't do math. That's why
That's
I'm a
all right. That's
scientist. No, I was like closer to 30.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so waited quite a while. And I think that gave me an opportunity to be more involved than I would have if I was 22 or 23.
Sure.
That makes sense.
So
Yeah.
when I look back now, I'm like, okay, there was a reason I didn't have kids at 22, 23, because I wouldn't have been there.
I know where you're
I was
going
on
with this,
deployment. And so I was going to school. I was getting the GI Bill. I was working part-time. And so my wife was working, so we were financially comfortable, and I had all this time.
Yeah.
So she gets pregnant, and I wanted to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
And so she went to a birthing center, and I remember I walked into the first appointment, and they're like, "Oh, Dad, you're here." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here." Of
course I am.
Yeah, of course. And they're like, "Oh, we love when the dads are here for the first appointment," and they're talking.
First appointment.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
And then I showed up the next time, and they're like, "Dad, you're back." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm back." And they're like, are you going to be involved? And I said, yeah. I mean, is that okay? And they're like, no, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
you're actually going to come to these meetings? And I'm like, well, am I allowed? And they're like, of course. We just don't see that often. And it's not because dads don't want to. It's because they can't usually do it.
Sure.
And so because I had
Gotcha,
this time,
gotcha.
like they're just at different times of the day, right? So
Right.
I had grad school at 4 p.m. and I had a part-time job. So if it was at 2, I could go, like I had that ability, and I really appreciated getting to be there for the whole process, because it took us a little while to get pregnant. We've been very open with that. Not a long time like some people, but it did take us over a year. We had friends who literally thought about it, and 30 seconds later they were pregnant.
Sure.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Right.
I get that.
Yeah.
So we were trying for a whole year, and we're like, because right after about a year they say, like, if you go a whole year, then there might be an issue.
Right.
And so we went past a year. We talked to our doctor, and he's like, well, we're almost there. And then we got pregnant. So we were already a little bit like, all right,
Worried
we're
about
already
it,
on
sure.
edge. And her pregnancy is going great. It's like she was being real healthy. They're like, wow, you're so good at being pregnant, which to me is like, it just cracks me up.
Right.
It's a nice
But that
compliment
is
to receive,
something
though, right?
they tell you, right?
Yeah.
They're like, you're so good at being pregnant. And she was like, I got this. This is great. But I started paying attention, and I was really like enjoying. I knew all about, her, and now I'm going to blank on all the terms, but all the
Sure.
different levels, right?
Yeah.
I was aware of everything.
Oh, yeah.
And then when we go to the natural birth, she had a really difficult birth. So her labor was great. Like, they're like, oh, you're laboring so great. But then when her water broke and now it's actually time to push, they realized something was wrong. And so my daughter had her fist like this, and she was asynclitic, which means instead of like this, she was like this.
Oh.
So not only is she like this, she also is
Had a hand in there.
a doorstop.
Right.
Yeah.
Nope.
Holy crap.
Not ready.
Yep. And so what became this whole process of we're like, oh, we're killing this, we're crushing this, was like now very scary.
Yeah.
And we could have a whole episode probably on that experience, but
Sure.
I'm there on the birthing bed with her. At one point she pushed for like 3-4 hours. And so at one
God,
point
bless her
I'm
heart.
literally
Holy
like
shit.
behind her back on all fours, like pushing her up. I don't think I would have been ready to do that comfortable if I hadn't been there that whole process. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
to
yeah,
me,
makes
sense.
that was like such a blessing. Now my second child, I wasn't as available.
Yeah.
I was now working full time. Like
Sure.
I was a therapist, and it was a beautiful experience, but it wasn't the same.
Yeah.
Right.
And luckily her birth was like, she sneezed and she came out, and we were
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
wait, I had the baby?
Right, yeah.
Because we're so used to that first one and
Right.
the trauma, and
Yeah.
so like I look back at that with fond memories. And my first, I joked about her being my favorite. It's not. She's my favorite at all.
Yeah.
I want to make
Yeah,
that very clear.
We understand. We got the joke.
But there was something, and then I was a stay-at-home dad for the first year. So
Cool.
there was something. There's just a bond there that
Absolutely.
Harper and we didn't have that same experience. Like my wife was stay-at-home now and so Harper, I'm going through that same thing. Is Harper could care less about me. Like she loves me sometimes, and then it's like, peace, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Heartbreaking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And so I try, like when you were saying that, I really connected, because I'm trying, like June and I are best friends. Like June
Right.
is my mini me, and Harper could give, less than 2 shits.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
she's like, I don't care,
Yeah.
funny man.
Yeah. And I-
Don't care, funny man. Well, but it is interesting to hear you say that, because that's a point that I hadn't really thought about, because we didn't do the natural birth thing, but we did the Lamaze class.
Yeah.
And we did,
Yeah.
but we had the added wrinkle of the pandemic involved.
Yeah.
And so our first experience with childbirth was during the pandemic, and so we did an online Zoom only Lamaze
wow.
class. But we did then have the physical doctor appointments at the doctor's office,
Yeah.
and we
Right,
got to
right.
go,
Yeah.
and they allowed me to go.
See, that's great.
And so I don't think I missed a meeting with the
Yeah.
doc. But to your point, at that time I was 32 years old
Yeah.
when Elsie was born. So I had been working in my career for a decade.
Yeah.
And I was able to go, okay, there's a 2:00 meeting in the afternoon this afternoon. You guys in the office got this. I'm going.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I was able to have that flexibility that you were talking about. Now, I also fully acknowledge that I work in a family business, and there's not a snowball's chance in hell that my dad's not going to let me go.
Yeah.
So at 23, having been working there for a month, he probably also would have let me go. But had I been working in the same job but not with my family, you're probably right. I wouldn't have had that opportunity.
The Navy would have laughed at me. The Navy would have been like, you want to do what?
That's a fair point.
You'll be there for the birth, maybe.
If you're lucky.
Depends on if you're on deployment.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think the an important part of that too, because I was fortunate enough to be at all the appointments as well, is you get a whole new appreciation for your wife.
You do,
just because I feel like you have such a better understanding of what's going on and what she's going through, right? Because you're mentioning the terms earlier and stuff, and that's how I was like, I had no idea what all this was.
I was asking questions.
Right?
I was like, so what? Dilation is at what point? I'm like, the
right.
are
Oh,
out.
you're right. Yeah, the whole dilation. You see, like,
but
it's going to do what?
Yeah,
it's going to get,
Or
what are you talking about?
They talk about how big the baby is. Stuff.
Yeah,
and you're like, wow, you're carrying that around inside you.
Inside.
Like, wow, my job was easy.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. Yeah,
my job was easy in that whole process.
I mean, for real though, the dads like luck out.
Oh,
and all
100%.
that.
And so my advice for dads, like I tell them all the time, just be as involved as you can. Like I very recognize I was blessed. Like and people will be like, "Oh, you hippies, you got to do." I'm like, "No, I was very blessed. I recognize that first we could afford to go to a birthing center. We could afford to I was very blessed. That doesn't mean you can't be involved no matter what you do. Like hospital birth, great. Go to the appointments, as many as you can. Ask for one of them off. Don't go to all of them. Yeah, don't lose your job.
Right.
Yeah, do what you can.
Right. But and you brought up another good point there, like with you and June, how you guys sound like you instantly had that bond. Because like Bryant mentioned, when Liam was born, he was born right when the pandemic hit. Everything shut down. I worked from home for the first 3-4 months of his life, and so me and him instantly had that bond too. So I think there's something to that of being stay at home or being with him a lot more when they're little bitty like that. Because our second, I wasn't working from home, for his since he was born, and it took me and Brody a longer time to build that bond. I mean, now we have a great bond, but like me and Liam, I mean, that first month we were tight as thieves, and me and Brody shoot, it probably took us a year to get super tight. So definitely something to that. But another thing I feel like we talk about a lot on here is, sharing your passions or what you're into, trying to
where are you going with this? got it.
Pass that down to, your kids and try to get them interested in your passions and, things that you love, that you like as well too. So how are you going about doing that?
So I grew up in California, Southern California. And so I have always been around water. I mean, I love water. I was in the Navy, and like the ocean to me is a second home. Like I feel very comfortable in the water. I'm a swimmer. I've been a swimmer. I love wakeboarding. So I love boats. I love kayaking, canoeing. I love ocean kayaking. I love wakeboarding, like I said. So I am very passionate about swimming, being in the water. So I started to pass that down to my kids.
Cool.
And getting them, I'm talking about a boat. I'm like, we're going to buy a boat, right? Like I'm talking to my wife, we want to buy a boat. And so funny story, the other day, June and I are pulling into Walmart, and she's like, Dad, they have kayaks. Should we get a kayak? Literally, and we have an inflatable one. But
why? Yes, we should, sweetheart.
She just randomly, she's like, we should get a kayak, shouldn't we? And I was like, we should, shouldn't we? She's getting.
But also, your mom's gonna kill me.
I'm blaming it on you if she asks. Okay, I'm blaming it on you.
But I will show her videos of wakeboarders, and I'm like, all right, honey, this is the boat we're buying. My wife's just over there in the corner, rolling her eyes.
It costs more than our house.
So we are buying a boat.
That's nice.
2024, right? I'm putting it out there in the universe.
Just visioning.
Wish
I'm
list.
just putting it out there, manifesting it. It's gonna happen.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm definitely trying to get my girls involved, and you guys you guys probably talk about this, and I'd ask you the same thing. Like, I'm very competitive, and I want them to be involved in water sports. And so I often think about that, like, what type of dad am I going to be? Because I am passionate about swimming. I love swimming. And part of me is like, I want to be that swim dad. Like, yeah, you go, baby, right on the side of the pool, you know, like
running up and down with them. Yep.
Put your left arm, put your left, you know, like, and then I'm like, well, do I really want to do that? Right. So that's something I battle. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's tough. And then too, you don't want to be that, living through your kid's dad either. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But but we're both super competitive guys too, and it's like, but you want to instill that competitiveness in them. So it's like, where's that line?
I can tell
at?
you debate about this,
right? It's hard.
It's a tough spot for me because I went from a hyper competitive person to now in a sales role. I've tried to turn it off a little bit.
Okay.
Because I find myself being the sales guy now, and so everybody in my business is very competitive, and whereas I just kind of am trying to take hey, you know what? I'm here to take care of these people, and when you're ready for me to deal with you, I'll deal with you.
Okay.
When you're ready for me to help you, I'll come help you.
Yeah.
And so I've reserved myself to that now.
Okay.
I'm happy with that position now. But I'm scared to death what my kid is going to bring back up in me. And not really scared to death. Frankly, I'm excited about Elsie getting excited about something.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell it is, I'm going to be excited about it with her. We just got back from swim lessons, hence my really awesome hair.
Nice.
We had going for the Joe Burrow
I do kind of have like the Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Yeah, you do.
Like 90s middle part thing.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that until earlier. But like Elsie's doing swim lessons, and I'd be lying if I didn't say that the other 2-year-olds in the class, I'm looking at them going, yeah, she's kicking your ass, kid.
Oh,
She's got her whole head underwater. Like you can't even figure it out.
Right?
Come on, kick your feet. See how they're kicking their feet? You got to kick your feet like that kid's kicking their feet. Kick your feet.
Right.
And so it is one of those deals where it's funny that it's starting to bubble back up.
Yeah.
And I had spent so long trying to push that shit down.
Right.
And so it is funny to see it bubble back up. I will be interested to see because if she chooses to go like the creative route or something, because my wife is a creative.
Mm-hmm.
She is an artist. She is a creative at heart.
Yep.
I will be very interested to see if that comes in, because I don't know how the hell you get creative I don't know how you get competitive in art.
Yeah.
I don't know how you get competitive.
Watch me draw.
Yeah. You're going to be the fastest drawer in the West.
Time me.
I'd probably find out how to do it. Like, my wife's the same way. She's definitely more the creative, the artistic, very like gentle soul. Mm-hmm. And I'm the like, if we start this, I'm going to destroy you.
Yeah.
Like,
no mercy.
I used to tell, like, I worked with college students, and I'd be like, I love pranks. But let me tell you something. You can do anything that you want to me. Like, go for it. You can't hurt my feelings. You can't push it too far. But no, I will find you, and I will do it 10 times worse.
And I will bury you with it.
Yeah. And that was like me, like, right? Like, and I loved it. And they would be like, oh, he's kidding. And I'm not. I'm
Remember,
like Liam Neeson in that moment.
I had to wear the funny little white hat in the Navy. I'm going to bury you.
I will bury you.
There's nothing you can say to me that is more embarrassing than that little hat I had to wear.
You want to know what hazing is? I will show you.
It's called basic.
That's great.
So what about like, so you're talking about, I mean, at 2 and 4, you're not there yet, right? Are you?
June is competitive. I can tell.
Okay.
Oh, actually, they both are. It's so funny. They're in different ways. Like, Harper sometimes is definitely like, just doesn't care. Mm-hmm. Like, she'll be in the corner doing her own thing. But she's also very independent.
Yep.
But like, June is the big sister. And she's
Does
leading
June talk for her and stuff too.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And she's very. I mean, this isn't just me being a proud dad. She's very smart, too smart, and so I mean, it's like, dang it, it's hard to argue with her because I mean, you're right, but you're also being a little ass. I love you, but
yeah. I was going to ask you that too, since you have 2. If you can tell like really a difference, like not necessarily in their personalities, but like in their competitiveness. Because I know with my 2, like you said, it's different because like Brody, he's the smaller one, the younger brother, and I don't know how competitive he is yet, but you can already tell he has that I'm not backing down from you spirit.
Yes.
But Liam, and I didn't think he was that competitive at first, but now it's starting to come out. This is like tonight when they was drinking their milk before bed. Liam chugs his down. He's like, "Oh, I beat Brody." Ha! It's like already just on little stuff.
What's
like
up,
that.
son?
Yeah, so I'm like, okay. I was like, maybe you're a little more competitive than
Yeah.
what I thought.
Sure.
So you can already tell that difference between.
Yeah,
between
I
you two?
think. I mean, and I think it comes out in different ways. Like
Right.
you said, like
Yeah.
there's times when Harper could literally could not care less what June does to her.
mhm.
Right.
Like she's just like, whatever. And
Right.
there's other times when I'm like, oh, she's gonna like go Conor McGregor on her.
Right?
you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
like it comes out of
For real.
nowhere. You know.
What about, so we talked about it a second ago, and I don't mean to change gears, but
Sure.
I was just thinking about it. You're talking about the water, you're talking about
Yeah.
boats. Did anything from the Navy translate to parenting? Because obviously you're exceptionally well trained, and it is
Yeah.
a very specific type of training. Like, does any of that translate to either? I wouldn't necessarily say discipline, because God only knows you're not putting them through basic at 2 and 4. But like, did any of that translate? Is there anything that you've taken away from the Navy at all that has kind of become commonplace in your house? I just completely off the wall here, but I was just thinking about it.
It's a good question. I mean, patience, I think. I loved being on a submarine. And for the most part, most men, and there's women now, but at the time it was all men, most men that I interacted with were usually smarter, usually a little bit more mature, because
Sure.
it is a specialized job. Like, not everyone gets on a submarine. However, you do deal with a lot of children.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like 18-year-old children all the way up to 54-year-old children, talking about you, Senior Chief.
Not the Navy anymore. I can say that.
Like, I mean, so this patience, and you are just an asset. As you get
set of
rank,
skills.
as you
Sure.
get rank, you get a little bit more, but at the end of the day, there's always someone above you, and so patience is a huge thing of
Cool.
just like, I know I'm smarter than you, and I know I'm right in this moment, and I can't do a dang thing about it. I can't. Like,
And
Which
literally,
is just like talking to a toddler.
Exactly.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
it really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, legitimately, it's like, all right, I'm just gonna let this go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I just
No,
it's
that's a good
completely
question.
off the wall. I was just curious because
Yeah.
you were talking about water and stuff, so I wasn't really sure.
Yeah, and you were talking about being on the submarine there, and you made the comment to us that since you were on the submarine, that's how you ended up with girls.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Yeah,
You
how
said
does that work
And we
out?
stopped you from telling us, but it was
Yeah.
like, what are you talking about?
So all right. Submariners are very superstitious.
Okay.
So
That makes sense.
You're in a metal tube, very, very deep, and so we're very superstitious. And so there is a common belief. One of the chemicals on board is called amine, and amine is one of the chemicals we use to clear the air. It comes in these bags, and it's a whole oxygen scrubber thing. Like, it's a whole thing, but the whole air just smells like amine, which kind of smells like cat pee.
Oh,
like,
good.
Yeah.
Nice. Sweet.
And you love
and
being
in
in
a
a
locked
submarine.
chamber.
After a while, you stop smelling it because, again,
makes
it's
sense.
recirculating air. You lose. But apparently, amine, it was always this thing that's like, well, amine is what makes submariners have girls. And I was like, what?
Okay.
What? And they'd be
Okay.
like, no, amine is what we all have girls. And I started looking, and most submariners had girls.
Really?
Like, there was boys, right? But most of them had girls. And I was like, what is going on? Like, oh, submariners have girls. That's just what we do. Like,
How
it's
interesting is that?
Right?
and
Weird.
so I asked, and I was like, what is this thing? Like, this is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, well, there is a belief that amine kills off the male sperm because
Oh,
it's
shit.
it's the slower, like, not as healthy sperm. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but that's the belief,
Something
right?
along those lines,
And
sure.
so most submariners are always exposed to amine, so therefore they have mostly girls.
Okay.
I don't know if that's
Okay.
true.
I was like,
but
Weird, but also interesting.
but my whole family is boys.
yeah.
My whole family is boys. I
And
had
you
two
pop out
girls.
Oh,
I'm
your
just
wife
saying.
oh, dude, that's
I did. I
funny.
literally popped
Yeah, I was
out
gonna
two
say. I was
girls.
like, you didn't pop them out, but you get this as a metaphor.
It's at all the meetings.
So, I mean, superstitious, maybe, or,
Wow.
you know,
Oh,
like,
dang.
So, how? just the submarine thing is fascinating to me, and I don't know how much about that kind of stuff you can talk about, but like how deep at a certain point, like how deep in the ocean are you going?
I can't tell you that.
Yeah.
And that is going to make me
Okay.
sound like a douchebag.
No,
but that's classified.
I literally, as I was getting ready to ask a question, I'm like, I wonder how much of this shit he can actually talk
So
about.
I can't say how deep we can go.
Sure.
I can say that it's like I've been deeper than 150 feet, but I can't tell you how
Yeah,
deep.
which
Yeah.
I'm not going to.
But you could probably find it online.
It's one of those deals where I fancy
Yeah.
myself a water person too,
Yes.
but also not like you.
Yeah.
That you're a
that's a whole
different
nother
breed,
level.
pal.
Yeah.
I mean, you're so busy. You're so busy that it like as soon as you go in and they close that hatch, you're in a different world.
Sure.
You don't even know you're under. I mean, you know you're underwater, but you don't.
Mhm.
It's like, hey, get to work.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's fascinating.
That is. That is.
Yep. So
nuts.
submarines gave me girls.
Yeah, well, I was
So
thinking
funny.
when you were telling us that, I was thinking. I remember like back in high school, they were telling us like, don't keep your cell phones
Yes.
in your pockets
Yep.
because it kills off your sperm. And I was like, is there something to that? And it's like,
Maybe.
kind of.
So I really don't know. I would love like a doctor someday
Yeah,
to
can we
be
get
like,
some
no, that's
scientific research here?
completely,
Yeah. That's nuts.
You would think that the Navy would maybe like, hey, maybe we should talk about this. Since
You
everybody
are
else
asking way too much of the Navy.
That's classified too,
of the
Brian.
Navy.
Can't talk about that.
I
Can't
love
talk
it.
about
I
that.
love it.
Well, I know, Drew. I know you got a couple other funny stories that you want to share with us. I think one
Yeah.
of them involved going to church with the newborn.
Yes. So, I mean, again, you guys probably have stories about this, but so June was like 2-3 months old, and I'm a new dad. And so I'm figuring stuff out, and I'm holding her. I'm figuring out how to. I've been around children. I've been around babies, but I mean, she was a skinny little thing,
And it's yours.
and it's mine,
And
It's
and
different.
she's yours.
Yes.
Yeah.
So church is going, and she is not happy sitting down. So I go out. It was at the Gloys, and so I'm like, I go out, and I'm kind of in the. If you've been to the Gloys, there's all the doors.
Yep.
So I step out, and I'm holding, and someone else, one of the security guards, is there because I was on the security team as well. So I'm talking to him, and we have this, and he's like, dude, and I'm just holding her, and he's like, are you okay? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, your leg. Like, did you pee? and she's up here, right? It's not like she's against my leg. And so
Oh,
I'm
gosh.
like, oh, did I pee? No, I didn't pee. What is going on? So I like pull her out, and I'm looking at her, and her diaper is dry. Her leg is dry.
What?
Somehow, like, because I mean, again, she was like 2 months old,
Osmosis. I don't know.
right? Somehow,
Amine. I don't know what it
the way
is.
I was holding her leaked out of her diaper. Like, it peed. I mean, the diaper must have been a little bit wet,
Sure,
but
sure.
it wasn't wet. It leaked through her diaper, and she peed all
Just
over
the perfect
me.
angle here.
It was the perfect storm, and they're like, "Your daughter peed on you, and is completely dry."
It was the immaculate.
insane.
It's a miracle.
P-ception.
It was.
It's immaculate P-ception.
At that
That's
point,
exactly
I was
what
like,
it is.
I have no idea what fatherhood is. Like, I don't.
Right?
So I'm just standing there, and my wife comes out. I'm like, I got peed on. She's like, well, yeah, of course. I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's not like it leaked. Like, I got peed on.
It was
At my
direct
pants.
flow.
Yeah.
It was
a
direct
direct
flow on my leg.
Yes.
Oh, dude.
Did
Yeah.
you? Because we talk about this a little bit, but did you ever catch like a face full or a chest full or anything like changing diapers?
Oh yeah, because boys are different.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
are.
right.
That's why I wonder.
Yeah,
Yes.
because that thing, again, it's directional. So
There's
you
a
gotta
yeah.
watch
it's
out.
directional.
And as soon as
But-
you get air, right? Like,
yeah,
it's just. Psh.
yeah. Which luckily, like, I kind of knew that part of it, so like I'd just keep the diaper flapped
Yeah,
over until I
over,
was
yeah.
completely ready. So I didn't really ever get peed on, but probably the worst one was we went on vacation. We was doing family pictures, and we was gonna get dinner before, and so we got Liam in his cute little overalls,
Oh, always.
right, and a little t-shirt on him, or tank, I think it was a tank top on him, and he was in the back seat, and so we get out to get dinner. And I just go back there and just like I'm taking him out of the car seat, right? I just unbuckle him, put both hands like behind his shoulders to pick him up, and it's wet and it's squishy.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh no! And I'm immediately like I haven't even pulled my hands out. I just immediately know, and I tell Allie, I'm like, I'm gonna need your help.
Yeah.
And,
We got a problem.
yeah, and he had an explosion where the poop just goes all the way up his back, and it's in both armpits.
Yep.
And I'm just like,
buddy.
oh man, and yeah, pull your hands out. It's like, oh, I just got to go eat dinner right after this. This is great.
Lovely.
Yeah,
Oh.
luckily,
And also in his little like picture get up.
oh
Yeah.
well, luckily, thank my wife for this, but she did have a backup outfit.
She
so-
had 14 in
Yeah.
that, right?
Right,
Way
so
to
we
go,
switched
Allie.
outfits and we was okay, but I just remember, that was one of the welcome to fatherhood moments, because he was little, probably like 4 months old at that point or something, and I was just like, man, like, ew.
I caught a full shotgun blast to the chest.
Really?
Yeah, it was at our old house. The changing station, I stood around the end of it as opposed to
To the
from the
side,
side.
yeah.
I learned that you don't do that anymore.
And weren't you in like your work clothes?
I
when
was
this happened?
I was changing her diaper, getting ready to leave for Rotary.
Oh, wow.
It was 6:15 in the morning. Elsie was up, and I was trying to be the nice husband. She was awake. I was going to change the diaper. Liv was going to take her to Liv was still on maternity leave at that point, and I changed the diaper. And I get the diaper off, and I turn, and I grab the new one, and it was just a little pop, and it was just air loaded with a little bit of shit,
Just
and
enough.
it just boom hit me right in the chest, and it was just a little splatter, just pop, huh? Oh my god! Oh my god!
right. Your initial reaction is the best. Like,
Oh my god! Oh, ah! So yeah, it's of course I'm just immediately like, well, taking another shower, not
I'm not
cleaning
gonna
up
be
after
there.
this.
Right.
I'm gonna be late.
Oh man. So I have one very similar, and I have two. I mean, they never stop pooping. That's really what it is. But I'll tell you one.
I'm still doing it. I'm 35.
they just won't stop.
don't know what causes it. It just keeps coming.
It just keeps coming, and I
probably
wipe
'cause I eat
it,
too
and it
much.
just keeps coming.
Jesus, I love it. Sorry, go ahead.
So June was probably, so Harper was like 2 or 3 months. So June was like barely 2. And Harper had to get a tongue tie. So, and there's like one person here who does it at the time. There may not even been that. So we're like, all right, we have to go to Oklahoma City or somewhere. It's going to be a trip. We haven't been on a trip yet with both of them.
Yeah.
We're going to do it. And
Gotta go.
I think there is a dad curse that if a dad decides, hey, I'm going to make this cool. I'm going to go out of my way to do something nice, right? Like I
no good deed goes unpunished.
no
Right.
good deed. Like last 4th of July, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get us a night at the chateau. We're going to go swimming where they both got food poisoning, right? So like we joke that it's like if I try to do something spontaneous, it goes bad,
worst.
right? Like,
Yeah.
so we're like, okay, we have to go anyway. Let's make a weekend of it. We'll have
Right,
our first
sure.
trip as a family of 4. This will be great. She'll get her tongue tie. We'll go to Trader Joe's. It'll be awesome, right? You know,
Love it.
my wife's like, yeah, let's stock up at Trader Joe's. We'll go to Target. This is gonna be great. So we start going, and we're about 45 minutes in, and they're doing really good. We're like, oh wow, June's doing so well. And I start smelling something, and she starts crying, and I'm like, okay, she pooped, but she's like really screaming, and she's like, it hurts, and I'm like,
Aw.
okay, and then I start really smelling, and I'm like, all right, that's not poop, like something's going on. So we pull over, and it's really bad diarrhea,
Yeah.
and we're like,
Oh, no.
okay, all right, we're literally on the side of the highway, and them like those. There's nothing except for these little gas stations, and there she is, bare butt, and we're trying to clean her with baby wipes, and so we're water wiping her down. We're like, okay, she got it out, like, and there was some on the seat, and so I'm cleaning it out. I'm like, all right, this is gonna be
Right.
so like I did the best I could. We get in, she calms down, and we go in, and it doesn't smell terrible, but we're going. 45 minutes later, it happens again.
Oh, no.
And
Kid.
this time,
Poor kid.
I'm like, something's wrong. And this time, it gets all over the car seat.
Oh no.
We still have like another hour and a half.
gonna
of
say,
that's like a
right.
4-hour
Yeah,
trip, isn't
yeah,
it?
like
Yeah.
I don't. We are like maybe halfway into this
Yeah.
trip. I will make this a shorter story than it. there was like 3 diarrhea trips just on the way. I mean, I am just this smell.
Yeah.
I can still smell it.
Yes, I can still it's burned in my nose. This poor girl. I mean, and Harper is like she was like 3 months and she wasn't feeding right because that's why we're getting this. And so she's fussing anyway. And so we're both just looking at each other already. I mean, both girls are screaming, crying. It smells like diarrhea.
Yeah.
And we're like, this is the worst idea. But we have to go. We have to do the tongue tie.
Not doing this.
Right? It's not like we say, oh, family vacation is ruined. Let's go. No, we have to go to this doctor that we paid $1,000 for, right?
Yeah.
Like something ridiculous. So we finally get there. And the weekend, like, she just wasn't feeling good. We tried to get her in the pool a little bit. It was better. I just remember at one point, like, driving to Trader Joe's, like, by myself, thinking, like, I think I'm just going to cry. I was like, I just am so tired, like that feeling of just, the car, as I'm driving, the car still smells like diarrhea. No matter how much I've cleaned it, I'm like, I think I just need to cry.
Should I just get a new car right now?
Dude, I relate to that 100%. There have been a couple of instances in parenting where I've just been like, God, I just need to be alone for a second.
Right.
Like,
that's so
holy
true.
crap, I am a mess.
And I think that's
right
important too, as a parent, to have like a little bit of like alone time. And because I know, like, just shoot, it was last week. I don't know. I had the boys most of the day. I think for like 2 days in a row. And Allie got home and she's like, "I can tell you need some time." She's like, "Just go watch a movie or go drive around. Just go take some me time." I'm like, thank you.
You're like, and then a party was like, do I look that bad?
Right?
No, I'm not. I'm no pussy. Let's go.
But then another party was like, well, my wife does this every day.
Yes.
Back to back to back, and she's fine.
Yeah.
Or at least hope she's fine.
Yeah.
So you're like, how big of a wuss am I? Like, gosh.
Yeah, I get that. Well, okay. So thank you for sharing that because that's hysterical. We always end with everybody's favorite
now I feel like I'm
segment.
smelling diarrhea.
Right?
It
it doesn't leave you.
That's just me. Sorry.
Just me. Gross.
Yeah, I know, right? So it is time for everybody's favorite part of the podcast.
What part's that?
It's Dad Joke of the Week.
Oh.
So let's jump right into it, fellas. DC, what kind of dad joke did you bring this week?
Okay. So, and Drew, you probably don't know, but I'm actually going to bear country here in a few weeks. Okay. So I've been reading all up on it and how to avoid bears and whatnot, and I found this article and it talks about how to catch a polar bear. I'm like, interesting. Okay, and so do you guys know how to catch a polar bear?
No, I don't, Derek. How do you catch a polar bear?
I don't know why you're laughing because I haven't even told the joke yet. Well, so what you do, cut a hole in the ice, you put peas around it. Okay, you sit there and wait. The polar bear comes. When he bends down to pick up a pea, you kick him in the ice hole. Yeah.
Oh.
I thought it was good. Okay.
I thought there was like a pee hole or pee hole joke in there too. No, ice hole. That's
I guess
solid.
it could have been.
Yeah, that's solid.
Yeah.
I'm into that. What about you, Drew?
Time.
What do you have?
Okay. So, dads, we don't have as much time, to stay in shape. So, my wife noticed.
Working on it. I get it.
She's like, you're getting a little bit, out of shape.
Yeah,
You used to be a runner, a swimmer.
Soft.
What's going on? She said, I should do lunges to stay in shape. That would be a big step forward.
It would be.
Nice. Yeah, that's good. Way to go. Yeah,
Solid,
that's solid.
right?
I'm into that.
I like
I'm into that. So,
and relatable.
Speaking of relatable, I feel like there's been a lot of talk of late because we're all 3 millennials, and there's almost like this, and I know generational like shit talking has always been a thing, but it seems like it's even worse now that the internet is more of a thing, and also the couple generations below us are very much on the internet, and so it's they're talking shit about the older generations. You might say that. So I was thinking about this the other day, that we're all millennials, but what generation do you think Forrest Gump is in? Might it be?
I know it.
Might it be Jenny?
Dang it.
I actually knew that one. I was almost. I'm gonna let you finish it. But I was like, Jenny.
That's okay. We've had a couple
That
of
was
those
good.
where
That
we've
was good.
just
I like
been
that
able to
one.
slam dunk those
Yeah.
jokes
I
for
like
somebody.
that one.
Yeah,
That's
that was
good.
I thought that was
I
pretty
haven't
solid.
heard that one before. That's really good.
Jenny.
That's a really
Well
good
done,
one.
Brian.
Yeah.
Well,
That's a good
that was
finish.
a good one.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we got to finish on that one then. Well, first and foremost, thank you for being
for
here,
real,
man.
Drew.
We
Thanks for
Appreciate
having me. Yeah,
appreciate
this was great.
you sharing your stories and talking about good dads. I mean,
Yeah.
I cannot. We haven't made the joke during the podcast, but I cannot tell you how many times when we're like just kicking around town
Yeah.
and we, talking to somebody about the podcast and they go, now, good dads, right? I'm like, no.
Different thing.
Good dads are the good dads.
Right.
We're the decent dads. We're
Yeah.
just okay.
Yep.
We're
Yep.
setting the bar within reach, keeping the bar within reach. But we appreciate you being here.
Well, thank
we really
you.
do.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Also, hope you had a good time.
Oh.
But we also have to say thank you to our viewers on the internet.
Absolutely.
YouTube, we just crossed 1,500
Woo!
subscribers
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we
at,
did.
at time of viewing. We're at 1,515 as I sit here and look at
Yeah.
my phone.
Awesome.
Ironic.
So I ask you, viewer, give me your dad jokes. Give me your dad hacks. Tell me some stories in the comments. I want to hear all of them. We will try to heartlessly steal them, and then
Yes.
we'll give you credit,
Right.
but we're going to tell them on the show too because we like to do that. So like, share, subscribe, do all the social media stuff. That helps us out a bunch, and also the feedback is important because we like to hear from you guys. So
Absolutely.
I really do have to say, way to go, decent dad.
Yeah.
I guess
Go,
we could.
Drew.
Way to go.
You can now put good and decent,
Good and
dad
decent.
on your
Decent
resume
good
and
dad.
stuff too. You too, big boy.
Good job, buddy.
Does anybody else have anything else before we wrap this thing up?
I got nothing.
No.
Anything? Well, appreciate y'all being here. Thank you too. We'll see you next time.
Like, the farts of little babies are incredible.